Hey, it's Yoshimitsu from the Disney Infinity subreddit and DisneyInfinityCodes.com, and I'm back with another toy box tutorial for you here. And this time we're going to learn how to collect a key to make a door open. So this is a little bit more complicated than the other ones I've done, so it's going to take a little longer. I've got everything set up here at the beginning so you can see how it works, and then I'll show you how to build it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump on this button, which resets everything. And that little text there is not necessary, but it just helps me. So I've got my wand out so you can see when I walk in this trigger area, the door doesn't open, and you can hear the clicking noise there, which is actually the door using its kind of built-in check, and because it's wired to this gate, it's not going to open from its built-in check. We're not actually using the built-in check with this, because I couldn't find a way to make it work that way, but yeah, this trigger area is going to control the door opening and closing, which currently it cannot do. So everything's reset. I'm going to show you how it works by first spawning an enemy, and then we'll kill this guy.
Oh, bad idea.
I'm being a little bit careful because the key is going to spawn right about where he's standing, and I didn't want to collect it right away. So yeah, now we have our key, and again, just to show you, I've got this logic gate, which currently exists just to keep the enemies from spawning again when I step on the button, so there should be no more spawns. And I'll show you how to set that up once I get to the setup phase. But yeah, so I've got the key there, and just to remind you, the door will not open. And now I collect the key, and the door opens. We'll reset everything just to show that it, in fact, still works. Yep, nothing there. Just do the whole thing one more time. Spawn the enemy. They're so much harder for Falcon to hit than some other enemies because they're so short. He's dead. Collect the key. And the door opens. Okay, so how do we do this? Like I said, it's a little bit complicated. I'm going to go over here, I guess, and just rebuild the whole thing. And I'll have to remind myself how I did it. Okay, so we need a trigger. We need another trigger. And two logic gates. One logic gate will control the enemy spawner, make sure we don't get extra spawns after the first one. And the second logic gate will control the door. So like I said earlier, just having a logic gate wired to a door will keep it from opening automatically with its built-in check. So we need a trigger area to take care of that, since otherwise the door won't open on its own. And we need our door, obviously, but I'll put the key first, since this happens to be first. And it's not letting me grab it. There we go. Okay, and our door. I rotate it around just because I like it to open that way. And we need the enemy wave generator, I think. Oh no, and I'll put a text generator too, just so you can see how I did that. Got our enemy wave generator, and I don't actually have the text generator favorited. Or text creator, rather. Put this over here by the reset button. So yeah, this switch here is going to serve as our reset button. This switch here controls the enemy waves. And another reason I'm doing this with a logic gate, which you'll see soon after I finish building, is so you can easily swap out this trigger for any other input source. That will be really handy if you want to use a trigger area or whatever to spawn your enemies. So we'll start with the reset switch, and we'll just want to do when stepped on by player any for now. And the first thing I'm going to want to do is close this logic gate. And what that will do, I'll do the wiring on that in a second, but what that will do is when I wire it to the door, that'll just keep it from opening with its built-in check. Want another one where, okay, connect to our key. This will just hide the key. And another one connect to our logic gate on the enemy generator. And this will open the logic gate. I think it's already open now, but this will just be for when you want to reset it later. So every time you press the reset button, it will open this logic gate. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my text just so we can have it nice like over there. And we'll say all states reset. And then also wire this trigger so that when stepped on by player any, it shows that text. Now I'm going to step on it. It's not going to do anything really right away, but just to show you, we got all states reset, the key's hidden, and our logic gates are in their appropriate states, but you can't really tell. Okay, so the first thing, I'm going to start with the door, I guess. So this is going to be closed by default, but what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to hook off the trigger area whenever somebody steps in, and we're going to want to go on output, which is the signal that will come from the trigger area. We want to open. So, well, I'll explain just a second. So here we want to do entered by player any, and we want to send input here. Now, if that's confusing to you, basically the idea is you step in this trigger area and it sends a signal, generic signal, not open or close, just signal, to this logic gate. And when this logic gate receives signal, it passes that signal off to the door. However, if the logic gate is closed, it can't pass off that signal. So the input comes from the trigger area and it gets stopped here. That's why, unless I've done something wrong, when I go in here now, it will just not even open. Because currently that logic gate is closed, so the input signal from the trigger area can't go from the trigger area to the logic gate to the door. I'm also going to wire this, and this won't be necessary now, but it will be necessary later, so that when you exit the trigger area, it closes the door. And this will be handy because otherwise the door will just stay open. It's more of a cosmetic thing, but I like it that way. So I think I've got all that set up. I guess we'll find out once I get going. But yeah, so now when you step on this button, we want to do just like we did with the trigger area. We want stepped on, player any, and send to this logic gate input, and then on this logic gate on output, which is the corresponding signal to input, we want to generate our wave. And on the enemy wave generator, when the wave is defeated, we want to show the key, which is reset in this case, but we also want to, on wave generated, close this logic gate. Doing that will make it so that when you step on this button, it won't spawn enemies more than once, which again, it'll work for your trigger area or whatever you want to set it up. Because otherwise, every time you step on this button, more enemies will spawn. It won't actually matter for the greater scheme of how I'm doing this, but it's just nice to not have that happen. And then the last thing I think we're going to want to do, again, unless I've forgotten something, is when this is collected, we want to open this logic gate. And like I said earlier, what that'll do is it'll make it so that the signal from the trigger area can actually pass through, which currently it can't. So I think I've got everything set up. We'll see if it works. I'm going to reset everything, and I don't think that'll actually have done anything since I reset it earlier, but that's fine. And now I'm going to step on this. Oh, actually, I need to configure my wave, because otherwise it'll spawn frost giants, which is fine, but I'm just going to have it be the little heart guy, or clubs guy. They're a little bit easier to kill. Well, I guess maybe not, since Falcon punches over them, but there are fewer hits technically. Okay, so now I think that's all set up, and we'll spawn some enemies. Target him. Okay, now my key is there, and just to confirm, before I pick that up, I'm going to go over here and make sure the door doesn't open. This will just be an idiot check to make sure that it's in fact doing what I want it to do. Collect the key, and now it should open. Hooray! So then when you exit, closes again, open, closed, and then we'll reset it. All states reset. Now it won't open. And just do it one more time now that we've got everything set up. Oh, did I forget to open that gate? Or, nope, there it is. Just delayed. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. He's dead. And once again, just to confirm, doesn't open. Collect the key. And now it should open. Hooray! So if you want multiple of these setups, currently this specific key will only control this specific door. So if you wanted multiple setups, you'll have to have multiple of this entire thing. But that should be good to go, and I guess, yeah, now I have 2, so each of these will work independently. You could set up as many doors as you want, and I suppose you'd want to change your text to say, I don't know, door 1 state reset versus door 2 state. But this should be extensible and allow you to do however many you want. Oh yeah, I was going to show you. So yeah, now that we've got this all set up, because I use this logic gate, I can easily pop out this trigger and replace it with, say, a trigger area. And actually, let me reset everything first. I think that would be helpful. Let's go ahead and put our trigger area. Place that. And then all we want this to do is tell this guy, this generator, to spawn enemies. So, logic connection entered by player any. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, we want to tell the logic gate input, because then it will tell the generator to spawn enemies. Getting a little bit confused with my logic here. So now we step in, enemies should spawn here in a second. I forgot that I didn't change the 4-second timer. 1, 2. There we go. Key is here. So yeah, the trigger area worked just fine. Grab the key. Door opens. Reset. Door doesn't open. So yeah, you can swap this. Because I use the logic gate here, you can swap this out for whatever you want, and all you're going to want to do is send input from this to the logic gate, and it will handle the output to the generator, which is really handy. That's why in a lot of cases when you might want to change your input source, it's helpful to just put a logic gate in the way, because then you can have this send its generic input to the logic gate, and you can put whatever you want here. So yeah, you could have a challenge orb or a power switch or whatever, and it will just send input here, and everything will work just as before. So enjoy, guys.